She was doing all sorts of satanic things. She was going through a lot of her ritual.
Bette Davis, the iconic actress known for her fierce on-screen presence, has finally opened up about why she disowned her daughter, Barbara. In an emotional admission, the 81-year-old screen legend has shared the devastating reason. But what drove Davis to abandon her daughter? And what implications will this revelation have on her legacy? Join us as we explore these details. Bette Davis's journey. A young woman full of dreams, Bette Davis left Broadway and headed to Hollywood in 1930, chasing her dream of becoming a star. Inspired by Mary Pickford's performance in Little Lord Fauntleroy, Bette felt a fire inside her, one she knew would shape her whole future. With hope in their hearts, Bette and her mother boarded a train to Hollywood. They imagined a bright, exciting welcome, but what they found was very different. When they arrived, no one from the studio came to greet them. Later, Bette learned someone had been sent, but they left without her because they did not see anyone who looked like an actress. It was a rough, uncertain start to her Hollywood journey. Bette's first screen test did not go well. Though she did not land the part, the studio kept using her in screen tests for other actors. In one strange audition, she was asked to lie on a couch, while 15 men took turns kissing her for the camera. Bette felt so embarrassed, she worried she might faint. In 1931, she was quickly called for another screen test for A House Divided. But this time wasn't any better. Wearing clothes that made her uncomfortable, she faced cruel words from the director, who insulted her in front of the crew, saying women used their looks to get parts. Bette was deeply hurt. At the time, Carl Laemmle was in charge of Universal Studios, and there was talk of letting Bette go. But one person believed in her: cinematographer Karl Freund. He admired her beautiful eyes and suggested her for a role in Bad Sister, 1931. Thanks to him, Bette finally got her first part in a movie. Sadly, things did not get easier. Bette's anxiety grew when she overheard a studio executive saying she had no charm, comparing her unfairly to a male actor. Bad Sister failed to impress, and so did her next film, Seed. After a year with 6 unsuccessful movies, Universal Studios let her go. Heartbroken, Bette thought about going back to New York. But just when it seemed like all hope was gone, fate stepped in. Famous actor George Arliss saw something special in Bette. He personally chose her for a key role in The Man Who Played God, 1932, for Warner Brothers. It was the big break she needed. Critics loved her, praising her energy and charm. Warner Bros. Quickly offered her a 5-year contract. She stayed with them for 18 years, becoming one of Hollywood's brightest stars. After starring in more than 20 films, Bette finally had a breakthrough with Of Human Bondage, 1934. Playing the cruel and troubled Mildred Rogers was risky. Most actresses turned it down, but Bette was fearless. At first, her co-star Leslie Howard doubted her, but soon he saw her true talent. Director John Cromwell gave Bette the freedom to act naturally. In one important scene, Bette's character was poor, sick, and alone. She insisted on looking completely real for the part, no matter how harsh it was. The movie was a huge success. Critics called her performance one of the greatest by an American actress. Bette hoped this success would finally lead to better roles, but Warner Bros. Did not fully appreciate her yet. They denied her the lead in It Happened One Night and gave her a plain role in Housewife. In 1937, Bette starred in Marked Woman, a crime drama with Humphrey Bogart. It was a turning point. Her performance was so powerful, she won the Volpe Cup for Best Actress at the Venice Film Festival. A year later came her biggest triumph, Jezebel, 1938. Bette played a strong-willed Southern woman and won her second Academy Award for Best Actress. During this time, she also fell in love with the film's director, William Wyler. Bette would later remember those days as the happiest time of her life. As the years passed, Bette shone on both the big screen and the stage. In the early 1970s, she was invited to a special event in New York called Great Ladies of the American Cinema, where famous actresses shared their stories. Bette's charm and honesty made a lasting impression. She then toured Australia and the United Kingdom with her show Bette Davis, in person and on film. Everywhere she went, audiences were enchanted by her incredible life story. While she furthered her career, she faced some challenges. What were they? And how did she overcome it? Let's find out. Bette Davis's tough fight with the studio. In 1936, during the beautiful spring season, Bette Davis found herself in a serious disagreement with Warner Brothers, the famous film studio she worked for. She wanted to be loaned out to RKO Studios to act in a film called Mary of Scotland. But Warner Bros. Refused, and instead gave her two other films to star in, God's Country and The Woman and Mountain Justice. Even though both movies were written just for her, Bette wasn't excited about them. She believed she was meant for better roles and should be paid more for her talent. At the time, Bette was earning $1,250 a week. The studio boss, Jack Warner, offered to raise her pay to $2,250. But Bette still wasn't happy. When her agent, Mike Levy, asked how much she truly wanted, she boldly said $3,500 a week, plus extra pay from radio shows and movies with other companies. Levy was shocked because he thought it was too much. Still, Bette was known for her strong spirit and never backing down. When she refused to work on God's Country and The Woman, Warner Brothers began losing money. The film was being made with costly Technicolor cameras, and each idle day was expensive. By the end of June, the studio had enough and suspended Bette. Another actress, Beverly Roberts, was brought in to take her place. While talks about her pay and a new film called Danton continued, Bette made a bold move. She traveled to England with her husband, Harmon Nelson, saying it was just a vacation. But she had a different plan in mind. In England, Bette signed a deal with a British film company named Toplitz. She agreed to star in a movie called I'll Take the Low Road, alongside actor Maurice Chevalier, for a big paycheck of $50,000. Warner Brothers quickly found out and sent a legal order to England, stopping Bette from making any films without their permission. But Bette was fearless. While shopping in Paris, she told reporters she planned to defy Warner Brothers and would do the film anyway. In October 1936, the case went to court in England. Both sides told their stories, but the judge ruled in favor of Warner Brothers. He said Bette broke her contract just because she wanted more money. She was ordered to pay Warner Brothers $80,000 and cover their legal costs too. British newspapers criticized Bette, calling her ungrateful and greedy. Though she later claimed she opened doors for other actors by fighting the studios, this wasn't true. Another actress, Olivia de Havilland, would later make real legal history. Bette's case had been about money and personal battles, not bigger change. While she lived, she felt and gave love, which also at some point affected her relationship and sparked a feud between her and her only biological daughter. Let's see her love life. The loves that shaped her life. Bette Davis was known all over the world for her strong spirit and unforgettable acting. On the big screen, she shined brightly, becoming one of Hollywood's most famous stars. But away from the cameras, Bette's personal life was filled with love, heartbreak, and difficult choices. Behind the beautiful dresses and flashing lights, she lived a story filled with hope, sadness, and lessons she carried with her through the years. In 1932, Bette married Harmon Nelson, a musician she had known since school. At first, it seemed like a sweet, happy love story. They were young, in love, and ready to build a life together. But as Bette's career quickly grew, their marriage started to have problems. Harmon struggled with the fact that his wife was becoming more famous than he was. While Bette spent long days reading scripts, acting in movies, and attending important events, Harmon often felt lonely and left behind. He wished for more of her time and attention, but Bette's work came first. Slowly, the love they once shared faded away. After 6 years of marriage, they divorced in 1938. Later, Bette would quietly share that during their time together, she had 2 abortions because Harmon had wanted it. These choices stayed with her, leaving a sadness in her heart. In 1940, Bette found love again with Arthur Farnsworth, a kind and gentle man who left his job as a pilot to try acting. This marriage brought her peace after the struggles of her first one. For a while, life felt good, and Bette was happy. But sadly, their time together was short. In 1943, Arthur passed away suddenly after a fall caused a blood clot in his brain. Bette was crushed by his unexpected death. And even though they had only been married for a few years, the loss stayed with her for a long time. Not long after, in 1945, Bette married for a 3rd time. Her new husband was William Grant Sherry, a younger man who worked as an artist. At first, their relationship was filled with strong emotions, but it quickly became difficult. In 1947, they welcomed their only biological child, a daughter named Barbara Davis Hyman, whom they lovingly called BD. Becoming a mother brought Bette great joy, and she was proud of her little girl. But her marriage to William was rocky. Bette felt that William was too immature, and their arguments seemed endless. The fighting wore them both down. After 5 years together, they separated in 1950. Their breakup led to a bitter custody battle over BD. William later married BD's nanny, Marion Richards, and they went on to have 2 more children together. That same year, Bette married actor Gary Merrill, her co-star from the movie All About Eve. Their romance had started while working together, and their on-screen love turned into real life. Together, they adopted 2 children, Margot and Michael. But even this new family faced many hardships. Their adopted daughter Margot was born with a mental condition, which made family life more challenging. On top of that, Gary struggled with drinking, and it caused many problems in their home. Bette, always strong, worked hard to care for the children and keep the family together. But after 10 difficult years, their marriage ended in 1960. Among all the men who came and went in her life, one stood out to Bette in a special way: director William Wyler. Though both of them had other relationships and responsibilities, the bond between them was strong. They admired each other and shared a deep connection, though they often clashed over creative ideas and strong opinions. Once, Wyler sent Bette a letter asking her to marry him and gave her only a short time to answer. Angry at his demand, Bette did not open the letter right away. When she finally did, she was shocked to hear on the radio that Wyler had married someone else. The pain of losing him in that way stayed quietly in her heart for the rest of her life. Bette Davis's love life was filled with as much drama, emotion, and heartbreak as the films she made famous. There was joy, sadness, hope, and disappointment. But through it all, she remained strong. Each relationship left its mark on her, shaping her into the woman the world would come to admire. Despite all the pain, Bette never stopped believing in love. She faced every challenge with courage and grace, leaving behind a beautiful legacy filled with passion, strength, and unforgettable memories. Bette Davis's only daughter, BD Hyman, was born on May 1, 1947, in Santa Ana, California. She came into the world as the daughter of famous actress Bette Davis and artist William Grant Sherry, Bette's 3rd husband. Even as a tiny baby, BD saw her parents' marriage fall apart when she was just 3 years old in 1950. She had a brief moment on the big screen too, appearing as an infant in her mother's 1951 movie Payment on Demand. When Bette married actor Gary Merrill, he adopted BD, and she took his last name, becoming BD Merrill. Later, in 1962, she appeared in a small role in the famous film Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, playing the neighbor's daughter. At the 1963 Cannes Film Festival, BD met Jeremy Hyman, a British businessman. Although BD was only 16 and Jeremy was 29, they connected deeply on their blind date. With her mother's blessing, they married and shared more than 50 years of love. Together, they raised 2 sons, Ashley and Justin, and built a warm, loving family. In her later years, BD wrote 2 books sharing her experiences with her famous mother, revealing the complicated and tender sides of their relationship. Her story shows how love and family ties, even with their challenges, can shape a person's life. What caused the issue between Bette Davis and her only daughter? Did they get to resolve it? Stick with us. Bette Davis and her daughter, Barbara. B.D. Hyman was believed to share a strong bond. To the public, they looked like a loving mother and daughter, full of sweet memories and close moments. They smiled for the cameras and seemed happy together. But behind closed doors, things were much more complicated. Their real relationship was filled with ups and downs, and sadly, it slowly broke apart in a very public and painful way. BD was Bette's biological daughter, and Bette had dreamed of becoming a mother for a long time. When BD was born, Bette was overjoyed and showered her daughter with love and care. She gave BD warm homes, encouraged her to be strong and independent, and even supported her decision to marry. Some people thought Bette was too soft as a mother, always letting BD have her way to keep her happy. As BD grew older, she found comfort in her Christian faith, but this created distance between them. Their beliefs and views started to clash, and slowly, the close bond they once had began to fade. This growing distance reached a breaking point in 1985, when BD wrote a memoir called My Mother's Keeper. The book shocked everyone because it painted Bette as a cold, selfish, and controlling woman who sometimes drank too much. BD said her mother was distant and wanted constant attention and sympathy. She also said Bette's husband, Gary Merrill, had been physically abusive to Bette, which added even more pain to the story. The timing of the book made things worse. Bette was already weak, recovering from a stroke and breast surgery. The hurt of seeing such harsh words from her own daughter was almost too much to bear. Hollywood, friends, and family were all stunned by the book's release. Many compared it to Mommy Dearest, a famous book about another star's troubled relationship with her daughter. But BD's book was even more painful because it was published while Bette was still alive and fragile. Bette felt deeply betrayed. She had always loved BD, and the pain from the betrayal left lasting wounds in her heart. The public nature of the accusations made her feel embarrassed and vulnerable. She had given everything to her daughter, but BD's actions left her feeling exposed and broken inside. Despite the hurt, Bette never stopped loving her daughter. Her assistant, Catherine Cermak, said Bette always called BD my daughter, even when the pain was overwhelming. The damage from the book was too deep to heal, though. Bette's adopted son, Michael Merrill, was so upset by BD's actions that he cut all ties with her and stood firmly by his mother's side. Bette even changed her will, leaving everything to Michael and Catherine, and excluding BD. In 1987, Bette wrote her own memoir, This and That, where she talked openly about the pain caused by BD's book. She did not hold anger but shared her sadness and confusion. She spoke of the love and support she had always given BD, even when things went wrong. Her words showed a mother's heart full of love, despite the deep hurt. Catherine Cermak, who was close to Bette for many years, revealed how much the book hurt Bette's heart. Bette never understood why her daughter did this, and in her final years, she often thought about the happy times they once shared. Catherine said Bette held on tightly to those memories and the love she still felt for BD. The pain was even harder because Bette had helped BD through tough times. When BD's husband, Jeremy Hyman, faced financial troubles, Bette quietly helped with money and kind words. But even this kindness couldn't stop the heartbreak caused by the book. Bette found comfort in those who stayed loyal. Catherine wasn't just a friend. Bette called her stepdaughter, They shared laughter, pranks, and quiet moments together. These bonds helped Bette stay strong during her darkest days. Sadly, Bette and BD never fixed their broken relationship. They lived apart and never reunited before Bette's passing. Though she seemed strong on the outside, Bette never fully healed from the pain caused by her daughter's betrayal. The story of Bette Davis and B.D. Hyman shows how fragile family love can be. Their life together was full of love, pain, disappointment, and hope. Bette Davis, known for her strong spirit and passionate heart, carried this sorrow quietly until her last breath. But through it all, she never stopped loving her only daughter. Their story is a gentle reminder that love can hurt, but it also stays forever in the heart. This broken family wasn't resolved till the end, and it brought some consequences. But before the backlash, let's dive into the last days of Bette Davis. A final curtain call. In her final years, Bette Davis remained the fierce, passionate woman the world had always known. Even though her health was failing, she refused to let it stop her from doing what she loved most: acting. Bette's spirit was unbreakable. She continued to chase her dreams and prove to everyone that age and illness could never silence her talent. In 1986, she made her television film debut in As Summers Die. Audiences were thrilled to see her on screen again. The very next year, she took on a touching role in The Whales of August, playing a blind, elderly sister alongside other legends of Hollywood. Even though she was struggling physically, Bette never let it show. She worked harder than anyone else on set, memorizing not just her own lines, but everyone else's too. The cast and crew were amazed by her strength, focus, and deep love for acting. Critics praised her performance, calling it beautiful and unforgettable. In 1987, Bette received one of the highest honors in the entertainment world, a Kennedy Center honor. It was a proud and emotional moment, a public celebration of a woman who had spent decades captivating audiences with her powerful presence and sharp wit. Her last film role came in 1989 with Wicked Stepmother. Sadly, Bette's health was failing quickly by then. She faced conflicts with the director, Larry Cohen, and decided to leave the movie before it was finished. The script had to be changed, and it marked the final time Bette Davis would appear in a film. That same year, during the American Cinema Awards, Bette suddenly collapsed. Doctors later confirmed the heartbreaking news. Her breast cancer had returned. Even after this devastating diagnosis, Bette held her head high. She gathered enough strength to travel to Spain, where she was honored at the San Sebastian International Film Festival. The love and admiration she received from fans warmed her heart. Sadly, her condition worsened during the trip. Too weak to return to America, she went to France for medical care. On October 6, 1989, Bette Davis passed away at the American Hospital in Neuilly-sur-Seine. She was 81 years old. Her death marked the end of a dazzling life filled with unforgettable performances, tough battles, and personal heartbreaks. A special tribute was held on Stage 18 at Burbank Studios, a place she loved deeply. A single work light was left on in the empty studio, a quiet, touching farewell to a star who had dedicated her life to the stage and screen. On October 12, 1989, Bette's loved ones gathered for a private funeral at the First Christian Church of North Hollywood. She was laid to rest at Forest Lawn Hollywood Hills Cemetery in Los Angeles, in the family mausoleum. A small but meaningful detail at her grave touched many hearts. Bette's name was engraved in larger letters than those of her mother and sister, a gentle reminder of the mark she left on the world. The words on her grave say it best: "She did it the hard way." And that was Bette Davis, a brave, bold, and unforgettable woman who lived life on her own terms. Bette Davis's final decision. At the time of her death at 81 years old, Bette Davis made a significant statement through her final act. She distributed her estate, which was worth between $600,000 and $1 million, in a meticulous manner in her will. However, it was not the amount she left behind that grabbed everyone's interest, but rather the omission of a particular individual. Bette made the decision to pass on her wealth to two individuals who had supported her unwaveringly. She divided her fortune evenly between her adopted son, Michael Merrill, and her loyal assistant and dear friend, Catherine Cermak. These were the individuals who had provided care, assistance, and companionship during challenging times in her life. Her will did not include her daughters, B.D. Hyman and Margot Merrill, as well as B.D., quote, two sons. This decision was notable considering the strong bond that Bette and B.D. had shared in the past. However, their relationship fell apart and could not be salvaged after the publication of B.D.'s critical book, My Mother's Keeper, in 1985. In the end, Bette was comforted by the support of those who stayed loyal to her. Michael Merrill paid tribute to her by establishing a foundation in her honor, granting scholarships to aspiring actors. This was a lovely way to continue the legacy of a woman who dedicated herself entirely to her art. Despite facing numerous difficulties, hardships, and successes throughout her life, Bette Davis maintained the belief that positivity could be found even in times of sadness. Ultimately, her legacy consisted not only of wealth, but also a profound lesson on the importance of faithfulness, affection, and the individuals who hold true significance in our lives. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.